So on the first topic, we're going to get into supply chain issues, and so it's real. We see it on the news every day. There's lots of container ships sitting off the coast of California somewhere, just waiting for entry into the country. We don't see it so much affecting us in the way of drywall and lumber and the basic materials for construction. Concrete blocks are still available, but when it comes to those finished materials, the things like specialty sinks and faucets or specialty tile for backsplashes or showers, that's where my customers are feeling it the most. So a lot of this can be mitigated up front from my perspective by just helping the client choose the right products, knowing the availability before we confirm the order, and in a lot of cases ordering this stuff well in advance. And beyond the things that are being shipped in from overseas, it really comes down to the manufacturing process, which I think will carry over into our labor discussion. But things like windows that used to take 8 or 9 weeks are now taking 16 weeks to receive. I have to order windows before I can even apply for a permit if I want any chance of having them in a reasonable time to start a job. But those are some of the most common things that I'm faced with.
Yeah, and I think for me, I don't necessarily keep up so much on what's going on globally. I'm actually very bad at keeping up with the news. But like Jason was saying, getting stuff ordered early has never been like such a demanding thing. Like for us, it's basically the windows, the cabinets, and the trusses all have to be bought basically like a week after signing the contract. Otherwise, they're just not there on time, and then it turns into like having an open project. So that actually caught us unawares on multiple projects when the whole thing started to happen. We were like, okay, 10-week time frame on the windows, we'll be fine. And then all of a sudden we have a custom window order that takes 6 months to get in, and we have a room addition that we started building on one time frame, and then it became a different one. So now we've been able to adjust for that. But and then I think the other thing is like cabinets and nailing down like exactly what they want up front. I see Gary nodding his head. I'd like to hear what you have to say on like having people pick what they want up front.
So a big part of our industry and what we deal with is selections and things like that, and getting that stuff done early and accommodating the customer to make sure that they pick that stuff out. Back to kind of what Jason said, even with a lot of the tile furnishings and things like that, you have to get it ordered early because even sometimes we're ordering tile, ordering things, the vendors are saying yes, it's available. And then a month later, they're coming back to us and going, hey, this is on back order now. Mm-hmm. And now we're not going to get it for 5 months, 6 months. Yeah. If we're in the middle of a renovation project, and again, we do leave a little bit of time to get the job started just for this process. But if you're in the middle of a renovation project and all of a sudden your floor tile are not coming in for 6 months, that puts a hindering on it. So you got to make sure that you take care of that early and get through that process.
Yeah. So me personally, I've actually talked to different types of builders, whether it's your custom builders who do 2 or 3 homes a year versus your larger builders who do 100 homes a year. It's whatever it is, they're all having the same issues that you mentioned before. Windows taking 6 to 8 months sometimes, and I've had homes because I do insulation as my primary thing, and what they end up telling me is, well, I'm not ready yet. I go, well, we had this scheduled 3 weeks ago. What's going on? Because I'm ready for you, which is actually the backwards for me sometimes. But all of a sudden, when they're ready, they want me right away, and I'm like, well, now I'm 2 weeks out. I same thing with giving proper expectation. That's something that we had to improve on for the last couple of years during all this stuff going on, and we've improved on our end to the best of our ability. And of course with everything else going on, we're doing fairly well with expectations and things like that. But on the builder side, they're still having their struggles. But now they know at least, hey, I got to give myself 6 months or something like that for windows or whatever else. So I definitely see and have heard all the things on that end. And as far as our side. We had some product issues as well last year. Between Texas having their freeze going on, because we do spray foam, right? That affected us drastically. That pushed us back by 1 to 2 months just to get material because
for spray foam specifically.
For spray foam specifically, yes, because that same chemical was used for painters and things like that. So
I was going to touch on that. The paint products also went behind. Because of that, there's that big freeze, whatever it was, and so now Sherwin-Williams is still trying to catch up on all of their issues with paint. Yeah. Apparently, one of the largest paint manufacturers for the base goods is based out of Texas, and when that freeze happened, it really put everybody back.
Yeah. With those chemicals, from what I've heard, there's only 2 major manufacturers who actually produce that chemical. So once one goes down, there goes your production right there. It's crazy.
Yeah, and to add to that, one of the things that happens within our industry is that when there is a shortage of any material for a short amount of time. I was talking to a window installer the other day, and they ran out of Tapcons where he normally buys Tapcons. So the knee-jerk reaction is for them to find somebody that has Tapcons and to buy a lot of Tapcons. All right? So based on the room, we all know where this is going. So now there's an artificial shortage of materials that are coming in, and it goes in waves. Somebody will get a big shipment in, but you may end up waiting. We waited 2.5 weeks for white paint at Sherwin-Williams to get a specific kind of paint that the customer needed to match what they had. Plywood, we all went through that. I know that probably impacted you really bad. But all of these things come in waves, and they're not always the same. They're not always what you expect they're going to be, so they'll blindside us. And there's really no way to predict this. So the best solution for this, I think, if we're going to get to solutions now on this matter, the best solution for this is planning. Plan, and then plan some more, and then just get your purchase orders together. So.
Yeah, and so I like what you said about, I got a delivery date on trusses, and this is actually for an addition I was putting onto my own house. And I was thinking I was going to get some special service, but the delivery date got pushed back from the original date. It was pushed back 30 days, and then from that 30-day mark, it was pushed back 2 more weeks. And then the 2 more weeks mark got pushed back 3 more days before they actually arrived on the job site. And again, I don't know that's not necessarily a shipping channel issue as much as it is maybe a labor shortage issue, which will be our next topic, but from the manufacturer's point of view. But even in my cabinet factory, I've witnessed the same thing. For a minute, drawer slides that you put on the sides of your drawers. They were scarce for a moment. So we went to every local store that we knew might have a small inventory of drawer slides, and we bought every one we could get our hands on. And then we also put in an order with 3 different vendors and said we'll see who gets here first. So it just things that we have to do that are out of the ordinary to keep the flow going.
Yeah.
And it all started with toilet paper.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the drawers. Like my manufacturer helps me make the custom built-in closets that we build. I had the same issue. Like it was the drawer plates, like the front of it. That's all they were missing. I couldn't get that for, what was it, 6 months? After I placed the order, which is usually 3 weeks. It was terrible.
And so the biggest thing is, like, I know we have expectations to talk about later, but this does change the whole expectation of what people expect, because the typical, if you think take yourself back 5 years ago, it's like, I want to build a room addition. I can just run down to Home Depot and get everything basically that I need to build that. But now I think with I'm sure you're seeing this in the homes that you're in, and we're seeing it in the jobs we're doing. There's so many, with the advent of the internet, social media, all that actually is distributing more information to people. They're picking things that are more specific and harder to get a lot of times. So that just changes the whole timeline and planning, the planning for everything.
Well, and while 90% of what you're looking for might still be at Home Depot, and I needed
100% of it,
I needed the fire spray foam to fill the holes where our wires go through, and every store in town was sold out of fire spray foam. Well, I can't close up the walls until I have the fire spray foam in.
Or the white J channel is gone. Right? You can get everything else, but the white J channel is gone.
And I had the same problem too, because we do fire blocking as well for homes, and we couldn't get the bulk order of that can of spray foam for those fire blocks. Just couldn't do it.
Gary, anything else to add you're running into?
I mean, obviously we have a small cabinet shop, and we have the same issues with the drawer slides. Lumber available now. It's starting to be a little bit better now. But a lot of the issues, I think, more than anything, are the small things like you guys touched on. It's the things that you need to complete that order. It's the little things that may sometimes fly under the radar because you know that you can just get it. And right now, that's how we're having to adjust, is to make sure that we've got all of those things. We've actually put a logistics system in place to make sure that we have all of those little details for every single job, and we store them. And unfortunately, it's taking up space, it's adding to our warehouse, making it a little bit inconvenient, but having everything there when the job starts is just that much more beneficial to the project.
And you mentioned the warehouse space. I'm having that same problem too, because we have to stock up on all this extra material that we have projected jobs 3-4 months down the road, which we normally plan ahead by a month or so. Now you're planning 6 months.